Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name's Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at my review of the new exotic hand cannon known as Hawkmoon. If you've never heard of this weapon before, it's a Destiny 1 fan favorite returning exotic weapon, and Destiny 2, this exotic quest released literally 2 days ago, and if you want to go get it yourself, just head over to the spider to start the quest. I'll leave a link in the description down below to a full guide on its exotic quest. More than that, it's a 140 RPM exotic hand cannon that deals kinetic damage with an infinite sunset level. This weapon has a number of very interesting perks to it, the first of which, the paracausal shot, where final blows and precision hits with the Hawkmoon grant stacks of paracausal charge. The final round of the magazine deals bonus damage based on the number of those stacks, and stowing the hand cannon on the final round removes this bonus. So as long as you have 2 or more rounds in the chamber, you can put it away, use your other weapons, and come back to it with the same number of stacks. There is no known way of maintaining the paracausal shots to the next clip. This includes transversive steps, inertial override, dodge, regular reloads, fast reloads, any of that. Although come to think of it, I haven't yet tried Lucky Pants, but I imagine that it doesn't work either. The second perk is going to be corkscrew rifling for range stability and handling. The third perk, alloy magazine, faster reloads when the magazine is empty, and almost always you want to empty the mag because of that final round. The fourth perk is a perk called transformative, where future drops of this weapon will actually have random rolls in the second, fourth, and fifth slot. I'll be talking more about that a little later on. And then finally, smooth grip, giving more stability and more handling. Currently, we don't really know of any catalysts for this weapon, but I imagine they'll probably add it eventually. And with that, this weapon has a pretty insane set of stats. The basic comparison that we'll be making of this weapon is going to be to Ace of Spades and Dire Promise. Firstly, it has one of the highest handling I've seen on a lot of guns these days of 74, as compared to the Ace of Spades and Dire Promise. It is pretty high. It also has a near perfect 96 recoil pattern, which is almost perfectly up and down recoil, very predictable. The range leaves a lot to be desired, but with the random rolls you can definitely figure some stuff out, and generally I haven't found that it's really that impactful. These short zoom sights are also very nice and similar to the Dire Promise and the Ace of Spades zoom level. And finally, the aim assistance is insane. You can see an aim assistance of 93 compared to the Ace of Spades 70 and the Dire Promise is 87. So you can see this weapon is very sticky and it's going to be very good in controllers. And before I get into the main section of the video, we'll be talking about this weapon's performance in PvE and PvP, both of which they're doing quite well in. I wanted to mention firstly, I have a giveaway going on right now, Astra A10 headset and a Blue Yeti microphone, link in the description down below on how to enter. And secondly, my Nexus store actually has Destiny 2 stuff on discount, anywhere from 25 to 67% off right now. And again, if you buy from the Nexus store, you give more money to the developers, i.e. Bungie, and you give some of that money to me, the content creator, which is a lot better than giving it to the gray market vendors and completely to Steam. Moving on, let's talk about this weapon in PvE, which honestly surprised me by how well it's doing. In PvE, it feels like an average hand cannon with decent stats but shorter range. However, the special perk paracausal shot really changes a lot. Now normally I try to avoid weapons that are mediocre versions of another ammo type. For example, using Martyr's Retribution, a special weapon for ad clear, or using the Outbreak Perfected as boss damage. Generally, special ammo weapons are almost always better than primaries at DPS and major killing. And with that, we also have a lot of very strong exotic special and heavy ammo options these days. However, this weapon has me conflicted. For reference, the paracausal ×1 does 4 times the damage, ×6 does 12 times the damage, and ×7 does 18 times the damage, as well as all of the other things you can see on screen now that I got from an Eroar video, link in the description down below for that reference. And honestly, it's really not that hard to set up, and it's easy to keep 2 shots in your magazine while you're using other weapons. It feels like you can use this weapon as a special damage option similar to the Izanagi use, but with much higher total ammo. And you can also just stack this with your special ammo's damage for a much longer lasting special ammo tier damage. For example, you can pair up Hawkmoon with first and last out and Guillotine for a lot of really high burst damage options, with range option in Hawkmoon and a mid ground for major killing with FILO. And in that same aforementioned Eroar video, he came up with a really great build option, which again will be linked in the description down below, that helps mitigate the average hand cannon feel of those first 7 shots by combining it with the chromatic fire explosions, the Warmind cell stuff, which I think is really cool and I'm definitely going to try out. Beyond that, for pairing, shotguns and fusion rifles are doing really well these days. I personally prefer the CQC-12 or the First and Last Out. For the heavies, Falling Guillotine or Interference 6 are both going to be your best options for legendary options. Alternatively, you could go for Deafening Whisper or Martyr's Retribution for a primary use special, and consider Hawkmoon your special ammo option. Moving on to the PvP section, this weapon, probably where a lot of people are going to be using this weapon most of the time. First up, I just wanted to touch very briefly on the time to kill. If you compare the 340 pulse rifles, the 600 RPM auto rifles, and the 140 RPM hand cannons, you can see the optimal and real time to kill, the 140s are lagging behind. However, you have to keep in mind there's certain nuances of using a hand cannon, the ability to go in and out of cover very easily, whereas the Gnawing Hunger and the 340 pulse rifles, you need a bit more of a sustain on the target, coupled with the inherent knockback that you get with the higher caliber round. However, obviously, it's not the most possible optimal. And in defiance of all of those numbers, in PvP, this weapon still competes really well against all of the meta. And some people have even told me that they think it's a top 3 option and maybe even the #1 best PvP hand cannon. And there are 3 main reasons why this gun is so strong in PvP. Firstly, its stats are very strong with very high handling and near perfect recoil direction and nearly maxed out aim assistance. Unfortunately, the range isn't nearly as high as the Ace of Spades, as many scout rifles and pulse rifles in the meta, but it doesn't seem to impact it as much as I thought it would. Almost always there's going to be a different, shorter range approach vector for most engagements. The second main reason is going to be that its special perk, Paracausal Shot, can be triggered to get a one-shot headshot with Paracausal ×6, one-shot body shot with Paracausal ×7, or a 2-shot kill with Paracausal 4 to 5. The general flowchart to get this is to have 2 winning gunfights with your first 6 to 7 shots, where 3 headshots kill any normal guardian and then 1 shot the next enemy. Alternatively, you can have 1 fight and then 2 shot the next enemy at the end of your mag. And an odd thing about this gun is the smaller clip is actually an advantage to get to the final round faster. And the third main reason why this weapon is so strong is that the 2nd, 4th, and 5th perk are randomly rolled. This makes it the only exotic weapon with random roll potential and can make it a very strong option combined with the inherent exotic tier stats. Now, we currently don't know how to get randomly rolled Hawkmoons, but it's assumed that it will drop as random exotics, or there will be a special mission to farm it in the future. And when it comes to the god roll of this weapon, there's a couple of different ways you can approach this. Generally, you want to be going for range, then handling, then stability. That's going to be the best options for this weapon. However, there's a very interesting and special strategy you can do if you get quick draw on it. If you don't know, Quick Draw is one of the most powerful perks you can have on any weapon in PvP. What Quick Draw does is it basically just maxes out the handling no matter how much handling you have. So you aim down sights very quickly, you switch weapons to and from it very quickly, and you handle very easily in close range. So you can take things like Extended Barrel and Heavy Grip, which both sacrifice handling to give you more range, more stability, and better recoil direction, getting that maximum 100, while sacking handling but not caring about handling anyways. Outside of that, a good roll, if you can't get Quick Draw, you haven't gotten Quick Draw to drop on it, would be things like Small Bore and Hammer Forge Rifling for your stability and your range, Opening Shot or Range Finder for good accuracy, good range, keeping in mind Range Finder does affect your zoom, and that may be a hindrance to you, and finally Polymer Grip and Smooth Grip to give you more stability and handling. And similarly to my recommendation with Ace of Spades, you only really need 2 weapon damage bonuses to take the basicness of this weapon up to a 2-shot potential. And this goes for all 140 hand cannons in the game right now, and you have so many options, including Inertial Override, the Hedron's Fragment, the Empowering Rifts, High Energy Fire, all of the different damage bonuses in general. You can get this weapon a 2-shot potential, and Paracausal Shot Basic with High Energy Fire is very common. And when it comes to pairing a weapon with this weapon, you could probably use either a shotgun or a sniper rifle. Considering the 140 hand cannons handle quite well in the mid-range, either option is good, and unlike Memento Mori, Paracausal Shot doesn't go away when you switch weapons as long as you have 2 or more shots. When it comes to a subclass pairing, like I mentioned before, try to go for damage buffs in general, Inertial Override, Hedrons, Empowering Rifts, anything that you usually use. And finally, mod pairing, hand cannon loader is going to be very important because you're going to be getting to the end of the mag very often, and outside of that, charge with light as hard as you can. High energy fire, taking charge, stacks on stacks, charge harvester, precision charge. Putting all 5 of these on all at the same time is a very strong charge with light build. And that is going to be pretty much the end of the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or concerns, if I've missed something about this weapon. Obviously, I've only really used this weapon for a day, so obviously we're going to have some changing opinions over time. And I, like you, am a Destiny 2 nerd, and I really want to know how this weapon's going to perform in the long run. And I'm very much looking forward to using this in Grandmaster, seeing how it can be replacement for Izanagi. But yeah, that's going to be the end of it. I hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys at the next one.